Everyone, it's Emil. It's Emil Guillermo. Emil Amok to you. This is Emil Amok's Takeout, my takes and all things considerable. You know, this is truly a secret podcast. No one knows about it, but I did share the link with one person who I hope comes on. My friend, the esteemed writer Ishmael Reed. And if he clicks the right buttons, maybe he'll be with us. I just talked to him about 5 minutes ago on another platform, and I said, let's go live. Let's talk about some stuff that's happening right now. And I don't know where he is. He should be here, but he's not. So he may or may not be here. But I do want to share some headlines with you because this is important. This is show 751. And show 750, we talked more about the debate, my reaction to the debate. 749 was my preview. So you can check that out on YouTube at Emil Amok 1. YouTube.com/@EmilAmok1 or on Facebook, FB.com/Emil Amok. I want to talk about the Harvard numbers because I think what we're seeing is a major regression, kind of on par with Roe v. Wade. I know some feminists will get at me and say, how can you say that? Well, this is equal opportunity. Affirmative action was equal opportunity, was giving us equality and opportunity, and it was deep sixed by the Supreme Court once again because of the way anti-affirmative advocates used Asian Americans. That Students for Fair Admissions, they used Asian Americans. And I think if you thought I was being blunt before the Supreme Court ruling, I deserve to be blunt now because we see the Harvard numbers. Harvard was reluctant to put out the numbers, but now they have the numbers. And so I want to talk about that with my guest, Ishmael Reed, and he's with us. Hey, Ishmael, you there?
Yep.
All right. So we got Ishmael Reed, the noted author, essayist, poet, playwright, Ishmael Reed, the founder of Penn Oakland. There he is. Hi, Ishmael.
How you doing?
All right. So I want to talk about the Harvard numbers, but right off the bat, let's deal with some breaking news, okay? The breaking news is Trump says he won't do another debate. And what do you think about that?
Well, it's like he's not the guy we thought he was. I thought he's this big macho guy. And they made a lot about Kamala's size today. I think somebody mentioned that she was
5'4".
5'4".
Maybe 5'7" in heels in their Jimmy shoes.
Yeah. You mean he's scared of this 5'4" black woman? And he's supposed to be, I thought the macho man. Don't they have him in the Superman cape?
Yeah.
August? So I guess he chickened out. He got his butt whipped. Got a good butt spanking, so he don't want to go back no more, man. That's a bully for you.
Yeah.
You know, Carla and I interviewed when I was writing my book about Muhammad Ali, the complete Muhammad Ali. We interviewed Emanuel Stewart, the great boxing trainer,
right,
in Las Vegas, and he said the way to deal with a bully is to back him up, and she backed his ass up.
Yeah. I guess we saw, this is proof positive, that the alpha in the debate, and everyone's saying it, but this is proof, the alpha was Kamala Harris.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah. She's, we needed a superhero to defeat that kind of institutional racism.
This thing has been going on too long, man. This vaudeville show. Did you see the Atlantic Monthly cover?
No, what was it?
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It had Trump driving a circus wagon back to
Uh-huh.
Washington. You saw the Capitol in the foreground,
Uh-huh.
and Trump was driving a circus truck, wagon back to Washington. It's
Well,
brilliant.
he's a roadside attraction who got his chance, right, to be, at the top.
Yeah.
And I think for many people they got the sense that once is enough. Totally inadequate for a second term. I mean, maybe some people needed some convincing after the 34 convictions.
His boy Putin helped him win the last time.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
A lot of the commentators, leave that out. The fact that they sabotaged the election.
Yeah, and they're still doing it. They're still doing it now. They're still doing it now.
So is Iran.
I mean, and let's not forget the Chinese have their efforts too. They I mean, social media.
We should sabotage the Chinese elections. Wink, wink.
Well, we could also stop buying from Walmart too, I guess. I mean, that would probably be the easiest thing.
Yeah, sabotage the Soviet elections.
Yeah. So, right. All right, but this is
Not
just breaking. This is just breaking, though. That Kamala Harris says he's not debating, and he said it on his social media site that he would not debate Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris, in the meantime, her news is, let's see. Oh, no, let's go back to Trump. Trump said, this is according to his aides, have privately acknowledged that he had a rough outing. He does not acknowledge himself, but his aides. Yeah.
But first, he said every poll had him winning.
Yeah, what poll?
So John, Conway is right, man. It's time for Ivanka and his wife to request an intervention.
If they love him.
Because if they love him, right. Well, that's
so
questionable.
I guess
right?
we're seeing what that's about.
They just about had to drag Gerard to his convention. He said, well, at first he didn't want to come, but Gerard.
So, all right. So Kamala Harris, in the meantime, is making her own news. She's saying that she has raised a record amount of money. In 24 hours, she took in $47 million in donations. That's a lot.
She should announce that Joe Biden will be her Secretary of State.
Maybe just his secretary. I mean, maybe like social secretary.
Well, I mean,
Secretary of State.
Look what he did with NATO. I mean, he brought the hostages back.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. Yeah. That's not a bad idea. And
he knows all these people. He gets along with them.
And I'm sure that's kind of like an AARP approved third act for some. Well, this would be like a coda for.
Well, that's what they're saying about me. That I've been around too long, and why don't I take it easy? Why don't I take it easy and sit on the porch?
Ishmael, I'm not saying this to butter you. No, the
only the role of senior citizens.
What's that?
Unpaid babysitters. You see these commercials. I saw a commercial where these kids, their grandfather tied up.
Yeah.
Like in a chair, tied up like hostage. So that's what our role is in American society.
I laugh at that. I laugh at that, but I know too many people who are of an advanced age, and that's their role, unpaid babysitter.
Yeah.
But but now to get back to you, I think the third act is really the coda is Nobel Prize. Now, I'm not saying to butter you up now. I'm just saying it. I'm just putting it out there. Nobel Prize.
Well, there are a whole lot of black, what we call praying Indians between me and the Nobel Prize. You know where I got that? Squanto, who cooperated with pilgrims. The other Indians called him a praying Indian.
Yeah.
Whose highest ambition was to go to the Englishman's heaven. So we got a lot of those guys in front of me.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm just saying that, like I said, not to butter you up or anything, but you look at the record of work, you look at how long, the decades-long work, how mainstream success, your own success, entrepreneurial success, and now you are like exactly where most Nobel Prize winners are. they unknown people
Well,
they don't see your latest work.
well, they'll give a Black American one every century.
Yeah,
So I'm not going to be around. So
yeah.
anyway, now
Well, that,
talk about Harvard. You
yeah.
want to talk
Oh yeah.
about
Let's talk about Harvard.
Harvard? Big old hoax.
Big old
Big,
hoax.
a
H for
big old
hoax.
hoax. HOAX, a hoax, sponsored by the Koch brothers,
Yeah. Well, tell me, explain that. What do you
who
mean?
got their Willie Loman
Yeah.
to go around making up lies. Ed Bloom,
Oh, Ed Bloom is Willie Loman. Okay,
like Willie
I
Loman.
had to make
Willie
sure
Loman,
I
death
had
of
the
a
right.
death of a salesman.
Yeah.
Death of a salesman. He's somewhere right now in some rundown hotel. No, wait, excuse me, at a 5-star hotel, getting
Oh
ready
yeah.
to cause mischief about DEI. That's their latest scam. Asian American organizations said that there was no discrimination against Asian Americans at Harvard, and so did Asian American intellectuals. But nobody pays attention to them
Yeah.
because you have other people speaking for us on TV.
Yeah.
You have, like I put on Facebook, all the Euro Americans who talk about how black men are going to vote.
Mhm.
And we're supposed to hum in the background, in these movies where they always have black soundtrack with the humming and singing and stuff. So that's our role. We're sort of like the soundtrack. All the important people are at the center stage and discussing us.
You see that's an interesting take there. On we were talking about the Harvard numbers. Harvard just released its numbers. Its first post and post on well, its first class after the Supreme Court made affirmative action illegal. And the numbers are kind of not as bad for Asians who held their own. Latinos went up, blacks went down by 4 points, which is bad. And they don't give out the white numbers because they don't want people to. I mean, you can't extrapolate that. Okay, 65% are minority. That
They,
means
they, 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 that's how they discuss white people in the media. They don't commit crime.
yeah,
They
that's
live
right.
in they live in the middle of the country, and they're the salt of the earth. Middle America. These people are grabbing all the dope that they can get their hands on out there. They got whole towns in the Midwest where they make the industry of the town is selling meth and all that. But they protect white people. The media
Yeah.
does.
Well,
You know,
when you think about the
they don't want
anti-affirmative,
to embarrass them because they buy
yeah.
their products.
Well, you got something, but it's you go back to the whole move to dump affirmative action. It really was a white preservation move, right? Because you can see what happens with all the other groups. Blacks went down, Asians stayed the same at 37% of Harvard. Latinos went up a little bit, but whites they don't tell the white number because that would be the telltale sign about the preservation of
Well, they may hand out some crumbs to these different groups and pit them against each other,
yeah,
like that article in the New York Times where they're pitting Hispanics, who millions of whom are black, incidentally,
yeah,
it's descent, but they give them linguistic language category instead of a racial designation. Yeah, they pitting blacks against Hispanics. They're doing that. That's what the Trump people are doing. You
yeah,
see where he said the Hispanics are taking black jobs.
mm,
You see that? Where,
yeah.
divide and conquer, it's an old colonial thing that they learned from the British. They learned this from the British. So my thing is that, like, I'm trying to help Johnson C. Smith University, which is a black historical college, and doing publicity for them, and probably going to donate some money to them.
Yeah.
And I think this gives an opportunity for us to increase the enrollment at black historical colleges because they have a difficult time on these white campuses, because the students are so ignorant and been taught that they're, white supremacy as part of the curriculum. You look at the curriculum, people like, what's his name, Bill Maher, the comedian.
Yeah.
Black people are taking over the curriculum, blah, blah, blah. He must be smoking so much dope that he can't concentrate on looking at some of these catalogs. All
Yeah.
you have to do is look. You just take 5 or 6 university or college catalogs at random, and
Yeah.
this thing that Americans call Western civilization,
Mhm.
where they try to forge an identity with the Romans,
Mhm.
when the Romans had contempt for their ancestors in Europe, but they, is still in charge. All right. So
Yeah.
you have nothing to worry about. But here these guys are saying, well, black people, all this wokeness, they're not even like when I write for the Times when they used to publish me, I got fact checked to death.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brett Stevens wrote a whole piece about wokeness and didn't define it. Wokeness comes out of the jazz lexicon.
Mhm.
It's hip. It's interchangeable with hip. We got our leadership. If you want to be in, like inside with the inside dope, no pun.
Yeah.
You you follow jazz musicians.
Yeah.
You know, so you had squares, which meant white folks, and you had the hip people, black people on the inside. That's where
Yeah.
wokeness comes from. But they don't. They have these think tanks.
Uh-huh.
Well, fallen intellectuals, hack intellectuals. They come up with twisted words, all the semantics, and and make it about black folks. Now
Yeah.
you notice they
Yeah.
see black people as the leaders of this whole thing. We're the ringleaders. There's a coalition of people, LGBTQ, all
Mhm.
that is
Mhm.
mixed up with wokeness.
Yeah.
They single us out. They always single us out. We're the ringleaders of the whole thing.
Yeah. Hey,
So,
you just mentioned LGBTQ. Did you
yeah.
notice in the debate, this week's debate, LGBTQ issues did not come up except for when Trump talked about some transgender guy getting an operation in a bathroom or something.
And not telling his parents.
Yeah.
He said he said never. Boy, this guy. Oh God, you talking about a medieval mind? He's
Yeah.
saying that a flat Earth mind. He's saying that these kids get these transformations done at school and they come home and they're different. Just
Well, when he said that, I mean, it's the only
Is
time.
this woman flying with? She's sort of like a Rasputin.
Yeah.
I mean, this woman's flying around the country telling him these
Oh
things, and
yeah.
she's
Laura
like
Loomer.
a sorceress or something.
Yeah. Yeah. She's and she's got to be bad when Marjorie Taylor Greene says bad things about her. So
Talking about the,
that's
talking about
she.
the Jewish space lasers or something.
Yeah. Well, she is a proud. She calls herself a Jewish intellectual, investigative
Who?
journal.
Marjorie what?
No, Laura
Marjorie
Loomer.
Taylor?
No,
Yeah.
Laura Loomer, the one
Well,
passing on the Springfield cat and dog story. All right, look, we'll get to that in a second. Let's go back to Harvard
yeah.
because we're talking
Do
about.
we have to? Do we have
Well,
to?
I just want to finish off
Yeah.
the point that I wanted to make. I mean, you were saying it's Harvard hoax. I'm disappointed by the numbers because number one, Harvard was kind of forced to release those numbers because everyone else did, and they took so long to do it. That's one disappointment. Number two is it really shows there's such a variance in the numbers that the best you can say is that we the reaction or the result is nuanced, which means nuance means inconclusive. We don't know. It makes it sound like it's a real intellectual probe and something worth solving. But the upshot is they got rid of old affirmative action and replaced it with this new colorblind thing. And we're exactly where we were 50 years ago. We're not exactly where we were 2 years ago or 3 years ago. We're exactly where we were 50 years ago when we were trying to fix this thing. And we are nowhere near close to the promised land, except that
You mean
whites.
the promised land is black people going to Harvard?
No, the promised land is equality and opportunity,
Oh
not
well,
black people.
that's
Not
never
black people going to Harvard. No, no, no.
that's never that's never going to happen as long as you got 80 million people voting for Trump.
Well, that's the thing. Look, I
I mean,
look,
I
but
mean that's the big lesson. That's the lesson that Trump. That's the secret that
yeah.
Trump has exposed. 80 million people in this country want to dictate a white nationalist dictatorship.
Well, that's the thing, and the whole anti-affirmative action movement really was a white preservation movement because they didn't
Absolutely.
touch they, they didn't touch the white legacy athletic affirmative action, but they went after race and the Harvard numbers aren't they say it's nuanced and it's inconclusive, but blacks went down.
They're giving
China,
white boys. They're giving white boys affirmative action. You have to
yeah,
really go. You have to really go out of your way to find that because so many white boys are dropping out of college, not going to college, that they're extending the first affirmative action. But you have to go way out of the way. You have to be a dogged researcher like I am to find the information. I think NPR mentioned it. I know you don't want me to talk about NPR. NPR mentioned the fact that there's affirmative action for white boys, but they're not going to talk about that. And plus, the chief beneficiaries of affirmative action are white women. They never
Yeah.
mentioned that either.
I have always said that it's always been affirmative action for whites, but this, especially since the main proponent of this was Ed Bloom, it is affirmative action for whites. That's what we have now. It's under the guise of colorblind because
But what about the Koch brothers? I mean, they talk about Project 2025.
Yeah.
I was the one who listed all the people financing the Heritage Foundation,
Yeah.
which issued this book,
Yeah.
Gulf Oil, some of the aluminum, they're paying for it. But see, the media can't say that because they're getting money from the same people. So
Well,
they can't say
that's,
nothing about that. They can't say nothing about that. The
I
money
mean,
behind it.
the only pure journalism is poor journalism because
Yeah, right.
you're not
You're right.
beholden to anybody.
Look. Harvard Crimson
Yeah.
was the one who exposed all the right wing foundations that are backing that thing at Harvard. The affirmative,
Yeah.
not the Times, not the other newspapers, the student newspaper.
Well, that's because,
The
yeah.
student newspaper exposed the money, this right wing money
Yeah.
coming from conservative trusts that back Ed Bloom,
Yeah.
who's so, I guess, self hatred or something. I don't know what it is.
No. That's because these are
He's getting paid.
pre-billionaire.
He's getting
These are,
paid.
pardon me,
You think he's doing it for free? You
who
think Ed
Bloom?
Bloom doing all this for
Oh,
free?
no. Ed Bloom doesn't do anything for free.
He's getting paid.
Yeah.
And see, that's what the neocons discovered. That's what
What?
Irving Kristol, who's like the founder of the neocon movement.
Mhm.
When he started putting down black people, the Bradley Foundation gave him money. So they said, well, look, yeah, man, wow, there's money in this stuff. And
Yeah.
then you got Bart Horowitz jumping on black women, black female promiscuity when he was a swinger himself, you know, hypocrite.
I don't know about his personal dalliance, but
Look at Theodore Solorotov. He exposes
yeah.
them,
Yeah.
saying he is partying. Norman Bart Horowitz is partying with Norma Miller every night, hitting spots, so to speak.
Norman Mailer, the fighter.
Look, you got, let me tell you, Harvey Weinstein, right?
Yeah.
Financed The Color Purple,
Yeah.
okay? Which even the critic for the New York Times said depicted black men as soulless monsters. Okay, that film he did, he backed that film with Steven Spielberg.
Mm.
Why isn't that considered hypocrisy? So these people are hypocrites,
Yeah.
and Ed Bloom is a hypocrite,
Yeah.
and he's getting paid. And the media doesn't bring that up, the fact that he's getting corporate money from Gulf Oil.
Well, this is why.
Melon people.
Yeah. Well, this is why at every point of this case in the last 6 years, I've always pointed out this is white affirmative action. I always pointed out, but we were just waiting for the last piece, which is what are the numbers after an admission cycle with no affirmative action, and now we have it. The Harvard numbers were released on Wednesday, and it was a little later than some of the other schools like MIT's.
So why is Harvard graduating all these Nazis?
Well, because I don't know.
Listen. One of Hitler's big advisors was a Nazi.
Yeah.
From Harvard.
Yeah.
Okay, so William Shearer's The Fall and Rise of the Third Reich, or whatever that book is.
Yeah.
All in there. I read it again recently. It's all in there.
Yeah.
Why are they graduating the Proud Boys and all these people?
Maybe they were international students.
And Steve Bannon.
Oh yeah, Steve Bannon.
Okay.
I don't think he went to Harvard. He went to Harvard. I don't think he went to Harvard.
He went to Yale or Harvard, one of those places. I get them mixed up.
Yeah, they're not perfect, those Harvard people. But I think what happens, like some of the hedge fund guys, right? The Harvard corporations run by hedge fund guys, and the people who have the real power at Harvard now are the graduates who have all the money and can change the fate of the
the next president is a conservative. I read that the next president is a conservative. You read that?
Are you talking about Alan Garber?
I don't know who it is, but
Oh,
he's
no,
described as
I think
conservative.
no, I think Garber is a Harvard. He's not a. I don't know what his politics are, but his politics are
They said
Harvard.
he's a conservative. They
Is-
said the New York Times he's conservative.
Well, if it's the same,
So you know what?
yeah.
You know what? They might put the Asian Americans out of there. This model minority is only a tentative thing.
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing. All right,
It's only a tentative thing. This model minority because they could turn on the model minority overnight
no.
and
Here's the thing.
have the
Here's the
red
thing.
cap,
I,
Trump's red caps after them.
when the Harvard numbers came
Done.
out, when the Harvard numbers came out, my first instinct was, damn those Asian Americans who fell for Ed Bloom and formed Students for Fair Admissions because they were duped, they were used. I always said that.
Well, Asian American organizations say that.
Well,
So why don't they quote the Asian American organizations? Why don't they have their people on?
well, I don't know. I just know that I don't even know who's a member of the Students for Fair Admissions because you never see any of them. Maybe one or two. But
Why don't I send you the link from the
yeah,
Harvard Crimson where
yeah.
they identify all the money, the right
Oh
wing
no, no,
money
no. The money.
at
Look, I
home.
get it. I get it.
At
The
home.
money. The money's important. The money's. I'm just saying that my take after the numbers have come out now, and we see that we are more in a mess now than we were 2 years ago when we had regular affirmative action. We should have just kept regular affirmative action
Well,
because
what is affirmative action? How have black people benefited from affirmative action?
well, look, I mean, you see, when there's no affirmative action, the numbers at Harvard were down 4%. With affirmative action, they were higher. With when the whole like,
Listen. I wrote a play.
yeah,
I wrote a play,
the conductor.
Life of the Aryans,
Oh, okay.
in which white people start getting money for reparations.
Oh,
And I said, given all the other programs from the Freedmen's Bank in 1865, where black people put up like $1 billion, so-called ex-slaves put $1 billion in there. All the mortgage money went to white people. All these social programs that they say benefit black people, they go to white people. So I said, if they created something called reparations, white people will find some way to get the money. They got the money from affirmative action. They benefited. And some of the people who benefit the most, like this white woman down in Texas, this white girl down in Texas, they're against affirmative action. So this is the kind of surrealist, wackadoodle, circus-like atmosphere we have in the United States,
yeah.
where things are turned around or twisted or it's like a comedy.
It
It's
is a
like
comedy. It's a comedy, but it's also a tragedy when after
a
the
tragic
6
comedy. Tragic
well,
comedy.
yeah, after 6 years of litigation, we're right back to 50 years ago where underrepresented groups, are underrepresented
Well,
and
why don't the
people particularly white.
why don't Filipino Americans have their own school and
Well,
and, and maintain Filipino culture? Because the goal of all these universities is to anglicize everybody.
I
That's the
think
goal. The
I
goal
think
is to anglicize everybody, make everybody the Christian gentlemen, women, and men,
right.
gentlemen. That's been the goal of these universities. Yeah,
You're right.
to anglicize.
Harvard
You have to
was
stamp out your culture. You have to
yeah,
give up your culture and adopt theirs.
Harvard was a more acceptable Curtis school, right?
Mhm.
That they put the Indians through, the Native Americans.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was the Curtis school. I don't want to confuse it with
No,
the
they had black slaves working for Harvard
yeah,
without
yeah.
any money.
Oh yeah. So
So maybe they should
Harvard,
give us. They had black slaves there
yeah, Harvard was
at
based on
Harvard.
slavery. I mean, built on slavery, and they had
So why do black people want to go to school where you wake up and you got a noose hanging over a noose in the closet? Or, because why do some of the worst disturbances, racial disturbances, occur on centers of higher learning in the United States? I mean, is that a contradictory thing? I mean,
people
and
become woke.
I mean, the Klan began as a campus movement.
Oh yeah,
That started at campus. So what gives? I thought that the campus was supposed to be place of enlightenment. You know, these intellectuals, and they say, "Oh, you're enlightenment, enlightenment." You know. So what happened?
Uh, you know, people got woke in a negative and in different
Yeah.
ways. I mean, they became enlightened with their political feelings and their true feelings, and they took to the streets, and that's what we. I don't know. I just think that uh, to get back to the Harvard thing, I don't know where the dean at Harvard, Dean Hoekstra, said we're not going to get a sense about the student populations for maybe several admission cycles, which is putting it nicely, which means we're never going to get to the bottom of this. We're never going to really see what this color blind, race blind, people like to say race blind instead of color blind, but we're never going to see what we've just created for ourselves, the mess we've created for ourselves. Especially, get this, people can game the system now even more because they can choose not to identify white, not to identify as anything. So that's one of the reasons why we don't have white numbers, because the whites are hiding, saying they're not, by not identifying. And so we
Well,
have.
well, this is way above my pay grade because I never got a BA, and I mean I've gotten honorary doctorates, but I never got a BA. So I sort of like coasted along on my own idea of a curriculum. Now, when I was at university, one professor said, "Well, you're into disorganized learning. This disorganized learning has earned me a living. So, you know, I think
Yeah.
I'll just remain. And if I need to know something, I will hire a tutor because I had
Well,
an university classroom. So I hired a tutor to teach me Hindi and use that in the play, the conductor,
yeah.
and that enabled me. That opened up an opportunity for some South Asian actors to get roles instead of this Bollywood stuff.
Oh,
This
yeah.
whole junk, you know. Then
Well,
then I'm studying German now because I do have a public in Germany, and I had a poem published in Poland, in Polish. I said, "Well, why don't you guys publish it here?" No, they're not going to in Polish because I studied Chopin, one of his nocturnes, for 6 months, and wrote a poem about the experience. And I was taught. I had a Ukrainian teacher,
mm,
and sometimes they had to cancel. He had to cancel because they were bombing his town. So I think I like to look at the globe, and you and these other guys can worry about Harvard and Yale, where I taught. I taught at Harvard. I taught at Yale,
yeah.
and I'll just go on my own way. And I just believe that Hispanics should have their own universities. Filipino Americans have their universities. Keep their culture going.
Yeah. FU, we call it. FU, Filipino
Yeah,
University.
because the whole goal is to stamp out our culture and make us all the same. You know, like members of the Anglo mainstream, as somebody called it. I'm not going to become no member of the Anglo mainstream.
Homogeneity. That's the
Yeah, yeah.
goal.
That's the goal. Yeah, yeah. How do you think we got a guy named what's his name? Sean Michael Singleton.
Sure,
That's a good
Michael.
example.
Sure, Michael.
That's a good example of things going wrong.
Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Look, hey, yeah, okay. Well, I have
Then they
experience.
then they got an older black guy on CNN, a right winger.
Who? Which one?
All the people who voted Republican have jobs on C. All the black people who voted Republican have jobs on CNN. So they got this older black guy on there. He uses expressions like "lad," L-A-D. And I
Hmm.
told, and
Hey,
I
wait a
told.
minute. Wait a minute. Hey, wait a minute. Don Lemon doesn't work at CNN anymore.
Don Lemon got fired because he took on that guy, Sharma. What's his name? I
Vivek
forgot. Oh my
Ramaswamy.
God, what a character!
Yeah.
Boy, oh
I think
boy.
Vivek, he's probably going to go into media now because,
Well, if he
politics.
wins, if Trump wins, he'll make Vivek in charge of us. He'll be in
Oh,
charge of
yeah.
us.
He'll be, yeah,
Yeah,
in charge of
yeah. The
the,
colored question. The colored
uh,
question.
the outspoken ethnics.
Put us in camps.
Yeah.
So,
So,
so I went to the Google and they said, how do you get a dual citizenship, Canada and United States?
you want one of those? I
Well,
mean,
in Canada, my books in the bookstores not get reviewed up there.
They are.
Yeah, I can get reviewed in Canada, and I got a Canadian publisher.
Yeah, I know. It's cold up there though. But
I
you're
can get I can get on the CBC network up in
yeah.
Canada. You know,
See, you're originally from Buffalo.
which is right across a
Hey,
bridge.
it's like
From Niagara
Canada South.
Falls. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. You know,
So
I could always
so
go across the bridge.
oh, you see, watch out, Ishmael. You're going to start a mass migration to
I don't think they want America. There's so many Americans fleeing to Canada, they don't want anymore.
yeah.
When
So
Trump got when Trump got elected the first time, my students said they were going to settle in South America.
South America?
Yeah, so if there's an exodus, if he wins, there's going to be a big exodus out of here. A lot of people going back to Africa and starting businesses.
I
Not a
met.
lot, but I mean, there's a migration happening. Whites moving to New Zealand, Australia. There's a migration happening. I don't know if the Times will ever cover that.
Well, I talked to one of my I talked to a Lyft driver, and that's where I get into the immigrant communities, and a lot of Lyft drivers are from Africa, and I met one
Mm-hmm.
guy from Tanzania,
Mm-hmm.
and he talked about how people confuse him for being Nigerian and things like that, for Congo, and
And how Black Americans are lazy and all that.
right, and these guys from Africa, they've got a plan. He said, "This is my plan. I'm driving Lyft. I'm going to buy." He says, "I'm going to buy equipment from China, not U.S. equipment. I'm going to buy equipment from China. I'm going to bring it back to Tanzania. I'm going to start my manufacturing business, and I'm going to build my." So when you talked about going back to Africa, I thought about my friend, the Tanzanian
Yeah, yeah.
Lyft driver. I mean,
No
there
Black
people.
American, no Black Americans are going settling in Africa. Black
Yeah.
Americans are going to Africa beginning businesses.
Where would they go? What
I
country?
think people are going to Ghana.
Ghana?
Yeah, people are going to Ghana.
Well, I don't know.
I've been
I don't
I've
want.
been I've been in Zimbabwe, man. I could live like a king in Zimbabwe. I could have a, all these acres of land, a swimming pool, and tennis court. You know, people begin. You know, if Trump wins, what's his name? That guy Luntz.
Oh yeah, Frank Luntz.
He the thing is beginning to unravel. He's going to Australia.
Frank
I guess.
Luntz he's a Republican though.
Yeah, he said things are going to unravel. But in the meantime, he's got to do some mischief.
I see.
You know, you see him.
I don't.
Frank Luntz. You know,
I
Frank Luntz was the one that taught the Republicans how to be racist, but be really slick about it. And smooth
yeah.
about
Well,
it.
I heard that Frank Luntz is predicting Kamala Harris is going to win.
Well, this guy that has predicted accurately every election over the last 20 years or so says the same thing. But we'll see.
Oh yeah,
Because
Alan Lichtman.
even if she wins, you know, they got all these crazy people out there manning, you know, causing mischief and sending rival slates to you know, all that stuff's going to happen again.
Yeah. Well, let's go back. And previously we talked about the debate, but what's the key takeaway? 2 or 3 key takeaways from the debate that you have, because it's still the buzz. People are still talking about it.
You know, there's a Yoruba, and I've been saying this for a long time. I think I'm not a prophet or anything. I'm not like these guys on TV. Well, I predicted that a long time. I predicted this. There's a Yoruba saying that when the trickster falls, it's like a 16-story building collapsing. And I think that's what we saw. The trickster got away with it for so long, but the trickster finally falls. So
Wow.
that's a piece of ancient wisdom.
Are we living in the dust? Are we?
I think the guy's done. I think his family ought to talk to George Conway. You know, George. All these other people saying, well, you know, both sides and this side and that side, because you know they have to appease their advertisers. George Conway is the only one who's saying what's really happening to this guy. You know,
mentally, psychologically.
Yeah, everybody could see it. Just think about people eating dogs, and and all this stuff about executing children after they're born. You know, all this crazy stuff this woman is feeding him.
Yeah, Laura Loomer. There, I mentioned her again.
Where did she
Uh,
come from? Is there any background on her or anything?
well, just that she's a rabble
Nut,
rouser,
nut, a
right
nut.
wing, 1.2 million followers on Twitter.
What? Oh boy, I better not say that. They'll come to my house and hit me on the head with a hammer.
I'm just, I'm just saying she's an influencer. You know, she calls herself an investigative journalist. She's more like an investigative influencer. An
Got a lot
I.
of people. They got a lot of people in Bellevue like that.
Yeah. So
I'm
Ishmael,
getting ready to have a press conference right. I'm getting ready to have a press conference right now.
well, that's what this is. This is the democratizing force of the internet right here, right? We're telling people,
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, whoever will listen. This is Ishmael Reed,
Yeah,
Emil Amok.
podcast changing. Podcast are changing. Tennessee wanted to read the winners of the American Book Award. I mean, the Penn Book Award.
Yeah.
At Tennessee.
Oh, no, she wants it now. No, let's do it another time. Let's do
Okay,
it another time. We'll do it another time.
we
But
got some great winners on there.
yeah,
Got
I
some
saw,
great
I
books.
saw,
You
and
saw the list?
we'll release it on the Penn Oakland podcast,
Okay, great.
the next Penn Oakland podcast.
Okay.
Being I guess I
So I
am
guess in the last, I've been on. How long have I been on here? From one
on
o'clock.
this one. This one about 42 minutes,
Well, I've
and
made a
then
lot of enemies, so I better shut up now.
no. We have very few listeners to make enemies. We
Well,
barely make.
how many listeners did you tell? Do you have?
Well, no, it says here that we have about a handful of people listening to us right now live. A
Okay.
hand, and so and then we'll put it out, and then we'll see
Okay.
who else is out there. But no, you haven't made any enemies. But tell me, you said in the previous podcast that we did, you said Kamala's the alpha, huh?
Yeah. Well, she represents a lot of alpha women.
Yeah,
You
she's
know,
tough.
I just, I just hope that they stop blaming everything on the brothers and spread it around. This misogyny stuff
All right, what's
instead of
gonna
blaming it on us.
what do you think she has to do that?
I'm not talking about her. I'm just saying that some of them are being used by patriarchs who
Hmm.
never reveal how they treat women.
Yeah.
And the New York Times is really anti-blackmail, man. I mean, they have, you know. So I wish they would stop. I wish they would critique misogyny in their communities instead of piling on. I mean, it's okay if they join womanists in some kind of solidarity thing, but they should critique the stuff in their own communities and their bosses. NBC shielded Harvey Weinstein. You know that. That's a
I
charge that Farrell made.
Oh, Ronan Farrow, yeah.
Yeah, he made the charge that they covered up for him. But you get a black football player messing up, they have that on for 2 or 3 days. And
Yeah,
why haven't they? This is one of my obsessions. This is Ishmael Reed's Trump like obsession.
mm.
When are they going to release the 999 names of the guys who were down there with Epstein down there in those islands?
Well, look, I've got 3,000. I got 30,000 emails. I'll trade you for those names.
Yeah, well, they were redacted,
Oh,
and
the emails.
Trump was one of the visitors. And he said that if he's president, he's not going to release the names because some of those guys are innocent. He said some of them are innocent. So these are the most powerful men some of those powerful men in the world, including Bill Gates.
I know.
Used to go up there, and that's one of the reasons his wife divorced him. So when are we going to hear about these guys who like a real young?
Well,
They're not going to touch that. They're not going to touch it.
Self-protection.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Ishmael, you brought up another sore point.
Yeah.
But an important one. But look, people have been saying they release the names. People say we want to know who the people are. Right now, people can only guess who the powerful are.
Well, they released Prince Andrew's name because he was the poorest of them all.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He didn't have as much money as the rest of them.
Yeah.
Prince
Well,
Andrew.
yeah. Oh, yeah. He's royalty. That's all. He's just
Yeah,
royalty.
but he didn't have any money like these other guys, man.
No. But Gates is only at about 100 and actually he was at 140 billion. He's gotten less because he's been giving more away.
Yeah, but why do you suppose the pressures give, letting them out the hook here? Like,
I
he had a
well,
pick. And this guy, what, Elon Musk? He's
yeah,
also up there.
Musk. Oh yeah,
You think he's gonna take his racism and misogyny to Mars?
I hope he does. I
Well,
hope
he got
takes,
that ship up. He got a ship up there. These guys are walking around in space, and it says Mars. So they're gonna spread all this stuff throughout the galaxy. This racism and misogyny. What's gonna happen?
sad for the galaxy.
Maybe the flying saucers will stop them. Maybe that's why they're really here.
We need
to prevent this thing becoming intergalactic.
Yeah, we need
Mars is enough. Stop them at Mars. Stop them at Mars.
An intergalactic NAACP. That's what
right.
Yeah. So Ishmael, okay. Hey, have you been watching any WNBA? Do you watch any sports?
Yeah, I watched women's basketball. WNBA. Yeah, I watch it.
You like the women. The women basketball players.
They play very well. They're very dedicated.
They're good. And I
watch boxers. So are women boxers.
Women boxers are good. They're dedicated.
They're tough, man. They're tough.
I watch the Indiana Fever not because of Caitlin Clark, because of Kelsey Mitchell. Mm-hmm. Kelsey Mitchell, her 3-point shot. You can tell when she releases it that when she puts a high arc, it goes in, and she's just a good shooter. I like her better than Caitlin Clark, and that's why I watch.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable that the men are going to play the women.
That'd be a fun game. That'd be a
famous tennis game. Gender. Billie Jean King and the other guy,
Bobby Riggs.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
That's good. I that would be a good thing. Now, are you watching football? I
watch the Super Bowl. I don't watch anything else.
Now, I noticed you were following the Tyreek Hill incident. That's where football and civil rights, social justice.
You know why he stopped. They're not going to say it on TV.
He has a fast car.
There you go. Fancy car.
He got a fast car.
Nigga, where'd you get this? This your car? Show me some ID. This your car?
He got fast car. He's got tinted glass.
Wait a minute. I didn't know anything about cars.
Yeah.
So somebody said, go and buy a car. Yeah. So I went to the lot and I saw this black sedan and I bought it for $1,400 because I didn't know anything about cars. It turned out to be a Hummer Super Snipe, the kind of car Prince Charles drives, had a Rolls Royce engine, beautiful leather inside and everything, right? English car, you know what I mean? Every time I drove that car, I was stopped by the police.
Yeah.
Very often, I was stopped by the police.
And one cop,
didn't say anything. One cop said, "I just want to look at the engine."
So what you're saying, Ishmael, you were driving while black.
I was driving a fancy car, and didn't know it. I didn't know the car was fancy.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with him. Now, if he'd been driving like a beat up Chevrolet, they'd give him police escort to the stadium. They'd drive right on into the stadium.
Now, if he had
Tyrell, you need help? You want us to help you?
If he had a Chevy, he probably would have a busted taillight. And
these were Latino cops.
Yeah.
And a Cabrillo said they were Latino cops. So
yeah. Who got
there you go with assimilation. There you go with assimilation.
Thinking like the white guy.
Yeah.
Well, Tyreek Hill is now saying the Latin cop, Hispanic cop should be fired.
Well, they'll probably they will probably give him some off time so he could go to Disneyland. Because Disneyland's down there, right?
Disney World.
Disney World. Just take a few weeks off, man. Until the whole thing dies down.
That's some fun.
Yeah. He's going to Disney. I did a cartoon where the cop shoots again. He's going to Disney. He said, what are you going to do? Going to Disneyland.
Yeah. Hey, so Ishmael, you got some fans.
So there's a new book out, Broken Badges, about how the Klan has infiltrated the American police forces.
I believe that.
I just bought it.
Yeah.
And if you look at their social media, some Common Sense, one of these sites, sample or investigated the social media comments of the
Uh,
police, thousands of them put racist and homophobic stuff on.
yeah.
Thousands, even the captains, people in command. So but 73% of Americans support the police. So I don't know. What can I tell you? As
Yeah.
long as they keep us out of there, as long as they keep us out of their hair, it's okay. Do what you want to do with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I just, I'm not a defund the police. I'm pro police. I just don't like the way they kind of twist the idea of defunding the police.
Well, we need
You know,
more police in Oakland. We need more police in
yeah,
Oakland. We
yeah,
tried to
I'm
raise
all.
it, but we need police who are recruited from the population here instead of these commuters.
Oh yeah, we don't need commuting police, but we also need police who do policing, and then we need to have the psychiatrists, mental health people on call, a different division to
They
come
should
in.
they should they should teach ethnic studies in the police academies.
That would help.
Yeah,
That would help.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I mean, they get all these people, these commuters get all their information about black people from television. And every night there's like a lynch mob, like the first 5 stories about the homeless and black
yeah.
kids mess. And then the one thing about the West Coast is, as I've said many times, the black people get a night off, they do Hispanics. Then they do Hispanic crime. Once in a while they'll do Filipino American crime.
Oh yeah, we're down. We're low down
Yeah,
in the totem
they
pole.
do that. Yeah, so we alternate out here. Back east is black crime.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's they need more ethnic studies because Law and Order is not ethnic studies. Law and Order on TV.
Well, one policeman said he read my book,
Oh, that's cool.
Blue City travels through Oakland. He said he read it in the newspaper.
Yeah,
So that's the beginning, I guess.
yeah. Well, it's something.
But they should read. They should read some, a few books.
A few books, some
Yeah,
essays and columns.
a lot of these people are Celtic. They should have Irish American literature.
Yeah,
See the stuff they went through. I'm reading a book right now about how these ships came from Ireland and maybe 50% would survive.
yeah.
There'd be typhoid and all kind of diseases on board, malnutrition. A lot of there was a great toll on the migration from Ireland to here during the Great Famine. I bet a lot of these guys don't know about that. These Irish
See,
guys beating them
with a
because
little bit, with a
look,
little
look,
bit of. Oh, good.
look. The Boston Tea Party,
Hmm.
not the Boston Tea Party, but the massacre, the Boston Massacre,
Awesome
where
massacre.
these British soldiers fired in the crowd. Those are Irish and black guys together. Those black and Irish who
Together.
fought. Yeah, who British? Yeah, there were alliances during the plantation period. There were alliances
Mhm.
and rebellion, which saw Irish in a coalition with blacks. But then
So
they
you,
went white. Then they went white on us.
so you can cast Matt Damon with Denzel Washington in that movie.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah, yeah.
Why not?
Cross cultural
Yeah.
cast.
Well, somebody should do the movie
So
because there's been a lot of cooperation.
yeah,
I mean, there were areas of the South that didn't that where there was a secession within the secession.
mm,
There was areas of the South that seceded from the Confederacy or would not join the Confederacy because they felt it was a white man's war. They didn't
yeah,
have any slaves.
yeah.
So there are whole areas of American history that are hidden, like Filipino American history in the West, Chinese American history.
Yeah.
You look at Chinese American history in the West and the atrocities and the way people were treated,
Yeah.
and people attributed disease to them and all that. I never read about that until I read it on my own.
Yeah, and get this, Chinese American history is so important. It's in the Constitution because the
Mhm.
reason why we have, birthright citizenship is because of Wong Kim Ark, who is a Chinese American who was born in San Francisco, went to China, wanted to come back, and was refused entry. And then he sued. Case went up to the Supreme Court. 14th Amendment said, hey, he was born here. He's a citizen. And that is the basis of birthright citizenship. Wong Kim Ark, Chinese American, born in San Francisco.
The
Chinese
biggest,
American history.
the biggest mass lynching in American history took place in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
You don't
it's Yeah, Asian American.
Well,
Hey,
Are they teaching that at Harvard? Or yeah, you think?
I don't know. I didn't learn about Wong Kim Ark until I was an Asian
I mean,
American journalist.
right. Absolutely.
I mean, look. I mean, you can
Why
go
do we
through
have to
Harvard
learn? Why do we have to learn about our stuff in the streets?
because you don't get it in schools. Not
Okay.
not even at Harvard. You can get through Harvard and not take a class on the Civil War. You can get through Harvard and not get a class in World War II, unless you were a historical
But you know
history.
all about the war. You know all about the War of the Roses
No,
and the Tudor succession and stuff like that. They'll teach you
no,
that.
no, no. Maybe no,
They'll teach you the
no,
War about the Roses.
no, no. Only if you're a history major. But I, like it's easy. Like if you were a math major or a computer major, forget it. You just you
Yeah.
can you can get through without even reading a Shakespearean sonnet. Hey, Ishmael, I want to
Yeah.
thank you for being on with us.
Yeah. That's great, man.
And before I let you go, you want to make a prediction for the future? Just like in the immediate future, like this is going to happen the next month, next.
I think a lot of people are getting high blood pressure about this political race here.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's analyzed the psychological effect of having this clown run again on people. And I think there's a lot of anxiety about this election.
And we're going to
And
see it happen.
people just want it to be over.
Yeah.
I just want it to be over one way or the other. You know, if they want a dictatorship and have him head the dictatorship, it's good for my stuff. You know, I mean, if Trump wins, it's good for me and my career and my stuff. But I'm willing to forsake all
Yeah.
that.
I forego that for just happiness and
Yeah, 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 joy.
joy, joy, a
Yeah,
little joy. All
yeah.
right.
Okay,
Ishmael Reed, noted
okay.
playwright, author, essayist, novelist.
We'll have Tennessee on next to talk about the awards with you.
All right,
Okay.
we'll talk about the award soon. Hey, thanks, Ishmael. Take
Thank you, Emil.
care. All right, there he
Take it easy.
goes.
I'll talk to you later.
All right, my friend Ishmael Reed. Man, I just happened to be talking to him, and I said I got to get Ishmael uh, on this secret podcast. His insight, man, that Yoruba phrase he said, like a big building falling. That was something, and his insight there about how the future, we're gonna, the toll of this election. I think that's one thing that people are going to write about in the future. They're going to say, well, what was the toll of all the people on all the people about this this loon running for president and winning? Oh, let's hope not. Losing, maybe. The Emil Guillermo Orchestra, the sign that we have reached that point. We didn't even use the swish. Got to use the swish. I mean, because I'm just learning that lyric. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to with. It's a catchy. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to with. Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm a latecomer to Wu-Tang Clan. I know they're not even together. I'm into them. Got a T-shirt. You're serious. You got a T-shirt. I got a T-shirt. T-shirt. My gong is wearing a T-shirt. The gong. It's the eyes of TJ. One eye of TJ Eckelberg. Gatsby had TJ Eckelberg. I have my gong. Hey, it's been fun. We had Ishmael. We talked about Harvard. It's for real. It's a meal for real. On Emil Amok's Takeout with me, Emil Amok. Hey, we like to end all shows with a little meditation. Oh, meditation. It's helpful. Slow down, do nothing, breathe, oxygen. Get that oxygen flow, get the old air out, the good air in, the old air out. A little forced laughter isn't bad. When I become a laughter yogi, I'll tell you all about it. I'm working on it. Laughter yogi class. We're going to have it. But a little meditation goes a long way. And so, especially one based on love. You send out the love, you send it out, it comes back. You send it out, it comes back. It's great. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal.